Hey there, Saints. Pastor Dave here with another weekly devotional for you this Wednesday. I'm going to start with a reading from Romans chapter 10 in the Message translation. This is, again, one of the lectionary texts from last Sunday that we didn't use in church, but it's a good one. It talks about how salvation works. Paul says that Moses wrote, "Anyone who insists on using the law code to live rightly before God soon discovers it's not so easy. Every detail of life regulated by fine print. But trusting God to shape the right living in us is a different story. No precarious climb up to heaven to recruit the Messiah. No dangerous descent into hell to rescue the Messiah." So what exactly was Moses saying? The word that saves is right here, as near as the tongue in your mouth, as close as the heart in your chest. It's the word of faith that welcomes God to get to work and set things right for us. This is the core of our preaching. Say the welcoming word to God, "Jesus is my master," embracing, body and soul, God's work of doing in us what he did in raising Jesus from the dead. That's it. You're not doing anything. You're simply calling out to God, trusting him to do it for you. That's salvation. With your whole being, you embrace God setting things right, and then you say it right out loud. God has set everything right between him and me. I have a question for you. Are you saved? Maybe you've heard that question before. I heard that from Brother Jeb. He was an evangelical kind of street preacher type who would come to my college campus on occasion and set up right there in the campus square and start preaching and start interacting with whoever would give him the time of day, and usually getting to the point where he would ask that question to someone. And his assumption was always, no, you're not. His assumption was everyone was in trouble, everyone was going to hell, and everyone needed to hear Brother Jeb's message and respond to it in the right way in order to be saved. I think a lot of the time we think of salvation, maybe not in Brother Jeb's very strict terms, but we do think of it in terms of, have you done the right things in order to earn this reward from God? The Christian message, Paul's message here in Romans 10, is that salvation is not something to be earned. Salvation is a gift that God gives, and it's something that only God can do. It's not something that we do for ourselves. In previous times, people tried to use the law that God had given in order to achieve salvation. They tried to follow every single rule and stricture that God had set down and believed that when they did that successfully, then God would give them salvation. But in Jesus Christ, it was revealed that salvation is a matter of faith. It's a matter of God giving us something that we can't earn for ourselves and us receiving it. There's no work to be done, so to speak. It's something that we simply have to receive. Is that hard for you? Sometimes that's hard for me. I think that we live in a culture where we expect to earn the things that we have. We expect to work towards them. We're what I would call a meritocracy. We think that you have to deserve something in order to get it. But in God's economy of salvation, you simply have to receive it. You just have to know that you need it and that God has offered it. And here's another strange kind of reality of that salvation, is that it happens when God says it has happened. And yet for us, it continually needs to happen. When God declares us saved, it doesn't mean that we are all of a sudden perfect people and that we never have any more problems or cause any more problems. I think we all know this to be true about ourselves. We still, even though God has saved us, we still make bad decisions. If you think about what happens in a courtroom where a judge declares a person guilty or not guilty, it's kind of the reverse of what happens with us in salvation, because the evidence is all examined. We figure out whether the person is guilty or not guilty, but the declaration that the judge makes doesn't change the reality, right? This person is already guilty or not guilty. We've just figured out whether it's true. In salvation, God declares you are not guilty, and that makes it true. from God's perspective, but from our perspective, we still see there's evidence that we are guilty. We still see that there's evidence that we're not the people that we ought to be. And we continually work out that salvation as we allow God to transform us. It's a lot to think about, but hopefully something worth thinking about for you. Hope you have gotten something worth at least getting those gears going out of this devotional today. I hope you're doing well and staying healthy, and I will be praying for you. Please keep praying for me, and I will see you all again soon. Take care, saints.